So I am playing catch up on this particular topic that I'm going to bring up. Vice President candidate J.D. Vance came to the Shelby Township Police Department. He did a press conference there. And I was really, believe it or not, I was really impressed by the press conference. I had an opportunity to watch the thing from its entirety. I think it was a real big boy move, to be honest with you. Many know I've criticized when Trump came out and said that he wanted to give federal immunity to the law enforcement community. Understand they already have what is called qualified or immunity. So law enforcement already has a blanketed aspect of um, immunity. And as former President Trump says, we have to win elections. Okay, that's first and foremost. So even how he changed some of the rhetoric on abortion, I don't think it's favorable to have such a policy to give federal immunity to law enforcement. But even speaking about that in that manner, when you have just a wide variety of different police topics, police brutality issues, and just historically in this country, we got to be honest. If we really going to be delivered from the toxicity and disease of what we've had to experience in our country right now, all the divisiveness, there's only one way to get out of it. And that's just to be truthful, tell the truth about a lot of things. Okay. No matter how hard or difficult it is, that's just the facts. America has a country, as a country, has not always had a positive, and still now doesn't have a positive necessarily history or report or experiences with certain demographics, and we have to change that when it comes to law enforcement. I am for law enforcement. I back the blue, the good cops, all right, not the bad cops. And I have to always distinguish. I believe there's more good cops than bad cops. But we got to be honest. And I think the Sonya Massey case says it all. I think that was a perfect example. And I want to do another interview on that in response to Officer Tatum's. He had some comments I seen from Dogface TV, and I didn't know he made such remarks to defend that murderer with the badge. It's unfortunate bad individuals going to law enforcement. They give the badge and the profession a bad name. Thank you to all the cops that came out in support of justice for Sonya Massey and denounced the actions of that individual who called himself an officer. Thank you. You all are part of the solution, and you make it better. So we could feel that, everything is fair and just, and things are really about justice in America. But back to JD Vance, he came to the Shelby Township Police Department. He came and did a press conference. I think Pete Lucido, the actual DA of Macomb, prosecuting attorney, was there as well. He's a good guy. Took a lot of flack from the media, as myself. Democrats, what can I say? They can't beat you in elections. They just lie on you. Whole nother story. But basically, yeah, law enforcement having immunity. They already have a blanket of immunity. I'm for people being held accountable. I'm for people, no matter who they are, not being protected by a political class. And I don't think we should create or cultivate a police class. I know we are in a very contested race, and every string possible is probably going to be pulled, every lever. But it's not okay to just come out and start saying certain things, because what the left will do is take those talking points and, let's just say, once you lose support, it's hard to get it back. And I'm not saying Trump lost a lot of support for saying that amongst black voters, but I did talk to several key people who were very much not favorable and criticized him for making those statements. People that even came out in favor of him, people who had denounced Joe Biden. And so these are just some things that, for myself, and let's give it another example. You have Sheriff Swanson, who is the sheriff in Genesee County. Good guy, admirable guy. Please understand, Genesee County, Flint, we stick with our own. We protect our own. Even if we have problems, internally, we still support him. So I'm a big fan of his. I admire him as a person. But I think he made a mistake by being in a nonpartisan position, and yet he came out so blatantly in a commercial ad for Joe Biden attacking Trump, basically denouncing Trump. Well, if I'm a Trump supporter, how do I feel if I'm being investigated by people who are for Joe Biden, in the political class? And then these individuals may even go further, not just saying him or anybody, but just in general. Cops, if they become too politicized, and this is supposed to be a nonpartisan, office, then at some point you're giving blanket immunity to people that could potentially have, corrupt things or become corruptible because of those protections. And that's just common sense. I don't think that's too harsh to come out and say that, I couldn't in good conscience, vote for that type of policy. That's just period. And I'm thankful that, former President Trump addressed those issues with the immunity situation at the Chicago Black Journalists Conference and Forum. I think he, doubled back. I think he toned it down. I think he just made it, clear he wants to support law enforcement, which I'm all for that. I think we should support law enforcement. I support law enforcement and good cops. I don't think I don't think nobody should, go against that. But we got to do something about the bad apples, because the bad apples are given just a very bad perception. And I got to be honest, I've had a lot of police contact, and it's not until things have been so politicized that I've seen an uptick on politicized cops. And I'm just being honest, I got to a point where I started seeing different things, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of scary to know that you have people who could be activists and protesters on the force. You know what I mean? Like, that's a scary thing, because think when you call a medic or you just certain fields, we need politics out of it. Like, we don't need to have partisan politics dictate everything of our life, man. That's just a miserable life, miserable world, people, and it's divisive. It's not helpful. But JD Vance and Trump, I think both will do really good with supporting law enforcement. I think nobody should have a problem with that. But his press conference was really excellent. I think he also clarified those immunity issues of backing the blue, etc. No problem with that, and I think that's a really, really good thing. Also about the press conference, I believe, is that he brought up fentanyl. He used, he's making that like front foremost. I've pushed really hard in the Republican Party. I do have, again, a nonprofit, 501c3 that I'm developing that it's about the drug culture. And so I've really pushed hard to bring awareness to fentanyl. And it's even other drugs coming out, the stronger than fentanyl, that's out here, that's damaging things, damaging lives. And we have to do something about it. And I'm just thankful that, the Republican Party, in my opinion, is doing the right thing, whether we were probably a little late on it, because we could have been dealing with this 10 years ago. You know what I mean? A lot of people have died because of our lack of response. And, our elected officials have to do better. Many of them and their children have been affected by it as well. But basically, JD Vance in his press conference at the Shelby Township Police Department, I think that was a very good move. And it gave me an opportunity to kind of see what Vance is about. And from the beginning, I think Charlemagne the God said he's a bad VP pick. And, for a while, I kind of thought about this. But then you got to think, Trump is a very strategic guy. The man just had someone try to take his life. I think any choices he make going forward is going to be his best decisions, in my opinion. And I think Vance reminds me of some people I've worked in corporate America, and I've worked with some good people. I've worked with some people inside good companies, and I think he reminds you of one of those good old bull country boys, from the Midwest, and nothing's wrong with that. I think he reminds me of some people I've worked with, in corporate America throughout the chemical coatings industry. And some of these guys are sharp, but they're conservative, they're smart, and they're just good guys, wholesome guys. Vance is he want to make some money, you know what I'm saying? And ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? We have really messed up in America where we promote government so bad. We promote government and what government can do and you could just think of any incentive almost that the government pushed, specifically from the left or leftists or progressives. And we got to ask ourselves, if the government has to do so much, what is it really saying that the individuals or people can't and they're not able to? So I'm really for policies that will empower people to be economically free, economically empowered. I do not believe in big government causing every single thing, making every single decision in our life. Like I don't think that that's okay. And so from my understanding and research of JD Vance, I think I think a lot of his private venture capitalist background is really going to help. I think that's going to be a really big thing for me. It motivated me to find out what he was about and really say, I like this guy. And I think that's just a good thing. But he reminds me of just a good old, like, wholesome country boy. Like he reminds me of someone, again, Ohio. I've formerly dated women from Ohio. My ex has connections to Ohio. Like I've had experience actually staying in Ohio. So, I've went down there for different job opportunities before. So I've always been a fan of the Midwest and Ohio anyway. That's like no issue for me with that. So I think Trump made the right decision for policy. Now, if you're going to get into identity politics, then no, he's not the best candidate when you look at that skin color alone. You know what I'm saying? But at this point in America, man, we need good leaders. We need leaders that, more importantly, I'm not looking for none of these people to be my savior. They're not personally leading my household, but their policies direct and affect my household. And I can't deny, I mean, God has been good economically, financially, but man, listen to me. This is a total different economy from what we had with Trump. And I don't even understand the left even lying about it, how they could get away with lying, how they could get away with deception, just so much stuff that they've done that it's just, come on, man. Like, it's terrible. It really is downright, outright egregious. It's outrageous. I can't even, it's vote Republican, okay, this election, period. But JD Vance doing the press conference at the Shelby Township Police Department, I think, was a really good idea. It highlighted their support. And again, I had just recently put out some material that, it caused a little backlash, and that's fine. I'm open for debate because I'm not just a blind sheep in partisan politics where I'm going to just support an R or a D just because. No, you're going to earn my vote. I'm going to speak and intellectually challenge you on policy, and I'm a free thinker. I'm a free man. I'm more than anything over partisan politics. And I'm led by my convictions, spiritual convictions. But JD Vance supports Israel. Trump supports Israel. This is a good ticket based on policy. So if you're looking for a ticket and you're looking for a vice president that's going to empower the policies that Trump puts forth, and he helps push and drive those initiatives home, then he's the right guy for policy. A guy that's going to help you, build your family. You know what I mean? Help you have more power and control versus the government. Small business, limited taxation, Second Amendment. And then he's from the Midwest, so I'm going to support him. You know what I mean? I think Kamala picking this other guy, Tim Walz from, Minnesota, I think that was a bad pick because you look at Minnesota. I mean, come on, man. Like, I think they could have picked someone else, Omar before him, like, to me, because, I've been to her district and I know how, I'm saying, certain things is, and she is what you see is what you get. So I would say that wasn't the best pick. I think if you look at someone who's a man and you're looking for policies that, again, empower your family, empower your life, empower, you as an individual so you can reach your goals, be inspired. They talk about the American dream, and right now the American dream is on life support. It's not, unless you're someone already had a big bag. And even then, things have changed, you know what I mean? So you're challenged. So I just wanted to come and talk to you guys about the press conference. that JD Vance did in Shelby Township Police Department. You know, he talked about a variety of things from police immunity. He talked about, and he didn't really say immunity, but he talked about just backing police and clarifying some things. Okay. And listen, just because you're against a policy of, let's say, not supporting, you're against supporting the police state. Okay. That doesn't mean you want to back some of Kamala Harris's ridiculous policies. The police should not be defunded. Okay. People should be held accountable. Absolutely. And then you got to look at the unions are running a lot of things, even for police. And I think that has made things pretty different, because a lot of the things unions do, despite, I mean, I'm not anti-union, but I'm not pro-union. And I've seen more negative harm from unions than positive harms. And a lot of the things with police now just comes down to politics. And if it's purely about that, you just get away from, maybe their recruitment strategies change, their hiring practices change, so many things, because unions are involved. So it could have a lot to do with when I say diversity, I'm not talking about DEI, because I think that has been hijacked by the left. There's nothing was wrong with DEI from a business HR standpoint, but when politics got involved, it absolutely got hijacked, turned into something totally different. But when I say diversity, I'm just talking about ethnic and racial diversity. I think that's you should have diversity, okay? But at the same time, if unions are running things, could be a problem, because a lot of the decisions in hiring, firing, etc., is going to be pretty much led by what the unions say. If the unions don't go for it, then they're not, it's not going to go, regardless of what it is. So that is a big thing. He also talked about, again, fentanyl, how fentanyl has, is devastating people. And I agree. That's one of the reasons I made this video, is because I'm really proud of, I'm doing a drug series on my channel, and I'm just proud of the public officials who are talking about it. John James has mentioned it, JD Vance, but we need a lot more of our elected officials to talk about it. Okay. That's really important. This drug has been out of control. We're beyond damage control at this point. We're not even preventative with this dangerous drug, and the other drugs is to follow. China isn't stopping, and they're still creating more dangerous drugs, and they're shipping them out. And unfortunately, we have a very bad state on our hands with the drug culture. We're definitely in a drug crisis. But JD Vance did a really good job. He discussed a lot of things. He got some heat from some of the reporters. I think he handled that right. JD Vance is just a straight shooter. I like that about him. He's like a younger John Wayne or something. Like, you talk to him, and he's a nice guy. I think he's a very polite, professional guy, but he's no nonsense. I mean, don't you think we're living in a no nonsense time right now? We don't need people who's going to be fluffy, cookie cutter, and lying on their resume and distorting things. You ask some questions, just like Trump. He directly answers, and you got to respect people who's going to do that. He doesn't lie about who he is, where he's from. That I've seen. I know he has a book. I haven't read it. I plan on at some point reading it. But he talks about his grandmother a lot. He talks about, his family, his upbringing, and I resonate a lot with that. I understand that. And so we do need leaders who understand the different transitions in life, that if you work hard, where it could go. Because honestly, you work hard, you get overtaxed, inflation just out of control. You look back and say, man, what did I do all this work for if this is what it leads to? If you don't have a strong mind, and even that could, Bidenomics and the inflation has even led to affecting businesses. Businesses are closing at an all-time high that I've seen. But you also have people who just can't keep up, and they get on drugs, and then their lives are affected by it. So, economics can affect marriages. It can affect homes. It could cause people to get on drugs. It could cause people to just everything. So, him attacking, JD Vance attacking those issues, including immigration. Man, I got to do a separate video on immigration alone, because when you have the issues we're having now with immigration, it's unreal that undocumented people could come here, get more protections, more welfare, more this, more that. When black people, you got to give out, I mean, just the enormous amounts of paper trails and political red tape to even get certain basic services. And even then, you won't qualify, you're cut off. And these people could come here and just get health care benefits. I mean, this is it's really bad. And then I don't know if people seen the Afghanistan's Taliban, celebration of 3 years in power, the anniversary. Man, for all of you that's against reparations, and I'm almost done with this video. I'm gonna leave on this note, but for all of you that's against, and I'm talking about comprehensive reparations or even cash payment reparations. Okay, I am for reparations in a complex, economic, sophisticated point, not cash handouts. But even if I was for cash payouts, when you look at them giving billions of dollars to the Taliban, when you have African Americans in this country that serve this country, veterans, white Americans, brown Americans, you got every Asian, you got people in America that we could do so much more for to help our own home, to help our own country. And we let these people get away. I mean, they're dragging, my kids are young, okay? And they're watching this with me. And they're like, Dad, they got the flag on the back of the truck. They're dragging the flag. Isn't that the American flag? And I'm like, yes, son, I'm sorry. Like, these people obviously don't respect us. They don't care for us. They want destruction to America. And yet they're parading our arms. They're parading our weaponry. They were parading everything. And this is just open. Like, at some point, this is egregious. It's betrayal. How can you expect for black Americans to be so loyal to America when we can obviously see that there's no real economic interest in bettering black America? And I don't care if it's left or right. No, the right probably wouldn't have done that, but they wouldn't have necessarily did what they need to do to make things whole either. And we got to do more about that in policy, and we got to do that intentionally to right some of the wrongs in this country. So when you see the Taliban with billions of dollars and people are just so against reparations, and it's like, wait a minute, that's hypocritical. You talk about hypocritical, people say this and throw that term out a lot, but look at that. Like, billions of dollars could have went into HBCUs. Hey, let's make free education at HBCUs. You can fund that. And I'm saying free, not that it's free, but we have the money obviously to pay for it. And we can do that. Let's go into the inner cities, and let's not only create the economic zones that Tim Scott helped set up, but then let's put the billions of dollars into trade school, programs and incentives from high school on up, for college and high school. That all can get funded. So let's have people go to barber school, cosmetology school for free in these areas, meaning that we pay economically for these things, knowing our history, knowing the disparities and the marginalization and things that's happening in the city. This still has to be intentional, because we obviously got it to go to war. We got it to go to Ukraine. We got it to go to all these other places. I'm talking about JD Vance, and I think even he understands that doesn't make sense to send money over there, that it doesn't make sense to do these things. But at the same time, it's not enough to just say that we shouldn't do those things, but we should also say, let's invest in our people back home. Yeah, those investments will save lives. People in Chicago wouldn't just be killing each other if they could go get professional training and things, and then it wouldn't be such an economic burden to do that. Redlining destroyed communities in Black America. Redlining prevented investments. Redlining really created the chaos that has been there. And then when you type in illegal drug activities, well, what do you think people are going to do? They got to survive. They're going to go into illicit criminal behavior. And some of that stuff shouldn't even be criminalized, depending on what it is. And we could talk about decriminalization of certain things in a whole nother video. But my point of what I'm saying, we got money we can invest right here at home to Black America, to our inner cities, okay, to transform the ghettos, into revitalizing the economics there, to revitalizing the real estate there, creating more small business opportunities, so then we can actually have communities of color that can be strong and vibrant. Black America, okay? We talk about make America great again, but let's make Black America great again, because I think Black America unfortunately has gotten a short end of the stick a lot, and it's documented, it's proven, it's there to see. So we have to be able to not only hold both, we got to be able to hold both tickets accountable so we can get what we need to get in our communities and for policies that help us. And Trump and Vance definitely, hands down, are going to be able to do that from a policy standpoint. When you applying yourself too, you can't just expect for, again, I'm not talking handouts, I'm talking personal responsibility here. Okay, if you got the right policies in place, I know when Trump was in office, I was getting it, still getting it. Okay, trust me. Okay, I can tell you some things I did. Probably had more stocks than I ever had back then. I had more economics. Things were better. I had gas was the lowest. It's just so much was better. Peace in the world, because when you got war, assets are cheap because you're almost in a recession, but at the same time, things are bad. Very bad, and it's not okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, I didn't mean to go this long in this video, but it's a lot of passionate topics that I want to talk about surrounding JD Vance. I'm also going to come back and do more of a video with him on his Byron, Michigan rally, because I didn't get a chance to watch that yet. I'm gonna go back and watch it, and I'm gonna come on that too. But I think JD Vance and his trip to Shelby Township Police Department was really good with Pete Lucido, the prosecuting attorney out of Macomb. I respect that. And I think that's a good thing. But I still stand against the police state. I'm not compromising on that policy, period. I think that would be a terrible idea to do certain things, to push things beyond. You have a few cops held accountable. Well, we can have a lot more that could be held accountable, okay? And then we need to do a lot more in the HR practicing. So maybe unions have to get out of the policing aspect of things, because we got a lot more things we could do to make things better. And I'm not for, let's make cops great again, okay? Let's get police officers to be true police officers, okay? Policing, not activism and politics. Partisan politics is bad in certain arenas. In majority arenas, it's not good. Okay, law should be blind. You blind justice. Okay, you walk into a courthouse, Lady Liberty, again blindfolded. Medical field should be about medicine and getting people healthy, not about who's the president. I've had doctors say things about Biden and voting for Biden versus Trump. You're in an appointment, with your wife, and she's about to give birth, and they're talking about politics, taking shots at you. You go in the hospital, your kids are sick, and you got to worry about the nurses and different people being political. Man, this has been out of control how things have been politicized. Okay, so again, JD Vance at the Shelby Township Police Department, I think he did a really good job. It gave me an opportunity to see more of him, to highlight his personality. And even if you don't like his personality, you got to respect the guy that's going to speak the truth to you. He's going to stand strong from his perspective of what he believes. But more importantly, he's going to help bring economic opportunities so you can empower yourself and help make our lives great again. Because right now, for a lot of people, it's bad out here. It's so bad. I live in Michigan, Metro Detroit. And let me just say this. I seen a homeless person in Rochester Hills, Rochester. I had never seen a homeless person in Rochester in my whole life of being down in Oakland County. So it's economically bad out here, okay? Terrible bad. I mean, I've had people who own their homes, sell their, do all type of things, consolidate with family. It's tough for a lot of people out here. So we need great leadership. JD Vance, keep coming to Michigan. Hey, we love you up here. I like seeing you. I do think it's about a policy. It's about policy with JD Vance, okay? And a lot of it's pro-family, pro-men comments and things like that is traditional, and a lot of times it's refreshing because you haven't heard a lot of things that he said in a long time. And I got a young family. I want to have more. I need all the encouragement I can get, so I'm definitely for it. Okay. We appreciate him coming down to Shelby Township. That was pretty cool, pretty unique. I liked it. So yeah, stay tuned.